No, they'll never save your brain, Hitler.
Killing Hitler. The idea of assassinating one of the world's most evil men to have ever lived has been a popular theme explored by countless video games, cartoons, and movies. Besides these often hilarious and satisfying depictions of what assassinating Hitler might have looked like, Hitler died of suicide April 30th, 1945, at the age of 56 in his bunker in Berlin. However, in the real world, significant time and resources were dedicated to killing Hitler, with no fewer than 42 credible plots to see him killed. Notably, the majority of these plots and attempts to kill Hitler came from Germans. This included political opponents and those who were part of Hitler's Third Reich. The first attempt at Hitler's life might have occurred before he even gained power in Germany in 1933. In 1932, Hitler and several members of his staff fell ill after dining at the Hotel Kaiserhof in Berlin. Hitler, however, fell the least ill, possibly because of his vegetarian diet. This would become one of the first instances of many where Hitler would seem to have extraordinary luck, narrowly averting death or grave injury. Hitler would come to view his luck surviving assassination attempts as a sort of divine intervention, only fueling his God complex or his likely narcissistic personality disorder. One of the most famous attempts on Hitler's life was the July plot that took place July 20th, 1944. This event Hitler would call a divine moment in history due to his survival. The July 20th event has been captured in films such as Valkyrie and the German film Stauffenberg. This plot, or operation to kill Hitler, was in part driven by Hitler's disastrous decision-making, which had begun to turn the tide of war against Germany. Klaus von Stauffenberg planted a bomb at Hitler's Eastern Front military headquarters, known as the Wolf's Lair. The bomb was planted successfully in the same room as Hitler, in a briefcase. This briefcase was unknowingly moved behind the leg of a heavy conference table, which would deflect much of the blast. Hitler suffered from a perforated eardrum, and his trousers, shown here, were singed. Hitler was administered penicillin after the incident, which had been taken from captured Allied soldiers. Ultimately, Hitler was just fine. Following the assassination attempt, 7,000 arrests were made, and 4,980 people were executed. Hitler also celebrated the event and commissioned a special decoration issued to all his divinely saved survivors. The wound badge of 20 July 1944 was struck in gold, silver, and black, denoting the severity of the wound. 47 were believed to have been awarded. With each award came a document personally signed by Hitler. Each badge has a facsimile of Hitler's signature. They are one of the rarest Third Reich awards ever issued. But what was Hitler's good fortune was ultimately Germany's bad fortune. By mid-1944, the Allies began to understand that Hitler was a detriment to Germany's strategic decisions. Hitler frequently overruled his generals and had unrealistic and impractical goals for his armed forces. The British, however, did consider assassination as an option throughout the war. When Churchill became Prime Minister in 1940, he was keen on hitting back at the Nazis by any means necessary on continental Europe, which included special operations carried out by the newly formed SOE, or Special Operations Executive. The most high-profile assassination carried out by the SOE used Czechoslovakian soldiers, who managed to kill Reinhard Heydrich, chief of the Reich Security Main Office. This operation was codenamed Operation Anthropoid, and was carried out in May of 1942. One of the first seriously considered British plans to assassinate Hitler was to bomb Hitler's special train, named America. Funny enough, this was renamed to Brandenburg in 1943. The SOE trained heavily on derailing trains using explosives. However, this plan was scrapped due to Hitler's irregular schedule, with train stations being informed of his arrival only minutes in advance. It was decided if the British were to assassinate Hitler, a sniper attack would likely be the most successful method. After the Allies liberated Normandy in the summer of 1944, a former personal bodyguard of Hitler's was captured. He revealed detailed information on Hitler's habits at the Berghof, his mountain retreat in the Bavarian Alps. The Allies learned that Hitler liked to take a 20-minute morning walk, alone, each day around 10 a.m. The plan called for 2 SOE agents to be paradropped into Austria. A local had been recruited, a shopkeeper living in the area, who would help transport the agents, who were to be disguised as German mountain troops. The sniper for the mission practiced with a German Kar 98K. The plan never went ahead as it was developed too late in the war to be of any strategic use, and Hitler left the Berghof only a month after D-Day, never to return. The very first time the British entertained assassinating Hitler using a sniper was as a present for his 50th birthday on the 20th of April 1939. The idea was proposed by Lieutenant General Mason McFarlane, who noted Hitler would be positioned perfectly during his birthday parade for a sniper's gift. The Foreign Secretary, Lord Halifax, said of McFarlane's plan to assassinate Hitler, "We have not reached that stage when we have to use assassination as a substitute for diplomacy." Other national coordinated attempts to assassinate Hitler include an attempt by the Polish army, which planted 500 kilograms of TNT in a ditch, ready to be detonated by Polish sappers during Hitler's victory parade in Warsaw. Once again, Hitler was lucky, and the parade was diverted at the last moment. But the majority of assassination attempts came from Germans, both within the Wehrmacht and from regular citizens and intellectuals. Georg Elser was one such regular German citizen and worker who made an attempt. Elser managed to place a time bomb at a large beer hall in Munich in November of 1939, where Hitler was due to make a speech. His plan would have worked if it wasn't for Hitler leaving earlier than expected, with the bomb detonating after he left. Other incidents of luck for Hitler include dodging a time bomb camouflaged as a package of liquor bottles, brought on board Hitler's plane on a flight from Smolensk in March of 1943. The bomb was rigged to explode during the flight, but the package placed in the hold of the aircraft iced up, causing the detonator to fail. One of the more colorful failed assassination attempts was made by German officer Major Busche. Busche was over 2 meters tall, with blonde hair and blue eyes, the Nazi Nordic ideal. He was chosen to model the army's new winter uniform for Hitler personally. He concealed a landmine in a backpack and planned to detonate it while embracing Hitler in a death hug. The new uniform viewing, however, was cancelled. The rail car containing the new uniforms was destroyed in an Allied air raid. These examples were just several of many, and a good reminder that there were Germans who hated Hitler and what he stood for, or at least recognized his insanity as a leader. The Allies, of course, officially recognized this insanity. One official American study from 1943 concluded Hitler was a hysterical at the edge of schizophrenia. So why kill the German army's worst enemy? Alright, I'm Johnny. Thank you for watching. And for those of you who still think Hitler is alive in Argentina somewhere, come on, that's just way too cold for Hitler's bad health. It borders on Chile, after all. Okay, take care, and have a nice rest of your day.
Buenas noches, mein Führer. Ja, ja.